they'll fight for one side, and the next they could be helping another, as long as the price is right. But Martina flatly refused. No need. Just then, a shrill scream came from the other side of the room. "You filthy mercenary, don't touch me!" No loyalty, no land, no masters. They just sell their fighting prowess to whoever pays. The very air here has been polluted. The employer, intimidated by the noblewoman's status, pushed all the blame onto the bodyguard. The crowd just kept criticizing and shifting the blame. "We should have never trusted you, scum." And she was a famous figure in high society. A few noblewomen standing nearby covered their mouths and sneered. To think he'd bring someone so filthy to the ball? But the man stubbornly raised his voice and yelled, "This is all your fault? And you dare blame me? Either get on your knees and beg the lady for forgiveness, or get the hell out of here." He was pushed into a tight spot but was still being dragged out by the knights. "I already apologized." A few nobles nearby mocked his words. He says he already apologized. "You're a commoner. Your apology is worthless." These people didn't know the true identity of the bodyguard, but if he were to act rashly, it could lead to a conflict between the two nations. But Rian shrugged, pointing back at the man. "You were the one who requested we protect you at the ball." As Rian was being thrown out of the party, she sneered mockingly. "The air is so much fresher without the stench of that mercenary." That man was so scary. The man standing next to her praised her relentlessly. "To win the lady's favor, sir, by bravely confronting him, your good name is sure to spread." At that moment, he chose to remain silent, only mentioning this painful old story to his subordinates in the future when the two nations went to war. "Let him go! This man is my dance partner." Ryan was stunned, turning his head to see who it was, and it was none other than Martina. "I've already chosen this man. We can't let a noble ball be ruined by him." Just then, a terrified scream rang out, and awkwardly tried to explain, "But your highness, he just pushed me over." But she didn't seem to care at all, retorting sharply, "I'll buy you 2 new gowns. Or are you hurt or something? You have enough energy to scream your lungs out, so you don't seem very hurt to me." No longer able to contain herself, the arrogant lady sneered. "Does your highness really intend to dance with a lowly mercenary? As a princess, how could you do something that would bring such dishonor to the royal family?" But she couldn't care less. "You have enough energy to scream your lungs out, so you don't seem very hurt to me." No longer able to contain herself, but she didn't seem to care at all, retorting sharply, "I'll buy you 2 new gowns. Or are you hurt or something?" And even turned it into an offer. "Hey mercenary, did you hear that? I'm a crazy princess." Is like a fierce warhorse. Only the bravest warrior is worthy of the challenge. "Thank you for granting me this honor." Ryan then placed a kiss on her hand, the music began to play, and couples started to fill the dance floor. It wasn't long before a knight ran up to report, "Your highness, the princess over there." Miafield smiled. "My sister certainly knows how to cause a stir. She always enjoys breaking the rules. But it doesn't matter. In the end she'll come crying and begging to me, because I'm her only true brother." Meanwhile, Ryan and Martina were dancing in the middle of the hall, and he whispered in her ear, "Your highness, thank you for your help." Martina shrugged nonchalantly. "I just can't stand those nobles, always talking about aristocratic virtues, but in reality, all they do is bully the weak." He casually made an offer. "As a reward, you can ask one favor of me." Inside, she was screaming with joy. "This is my chance! But if I ask him to kiss my hand directly, it probably won't feel sincere, will it?" But outwardly, she simply asked, "What could I possibly ask of you?" His steps slowed as he offered a few suggestions. For example, "You could ask me to protect you for 1 month, or to fight for you, or to assassinate someone for you." Martina didn't hesitate to reply directly, "What if I asked you to kill an imperial prince for me?" "I could." They moved closer together, and she could feel his intimidating gaze. "But you would have to buy my life first." Martina was taken aback. She'd almost forgotten that he was still a mercenary, someone who operates completely outside the law. His only pillars of support were his country and his mother. After the dance, she refused outright. "I have no interest in barbaric acts like murder, but I do have another idea. Come see me in private tomorrow, will you?" Ryan's eyes glanced over her as if he could see right through her. Then he refused flatly. "I'm sorry, I cannot accompany you." Martina was rejected, her jaw dropping in disbelief. "Huh?" In the imperial palace, a dejected sigh echoed through the room as she rested her chin on her hand in frustration. "But why?" Mi, standing beside her, asked with concern. "What do you mean, why? Why would anyone dare to refuse my invitation?" He shrugged, offering the most likely possibility. "Perhaps he's aware of your personality." Hearing this, Martina bristled and slammed her hand on the table. "What's wrong with my personality?" But he was already used to it. "Strong-willed, domineering, and you used to bully me when we were little." She immediately retorted, "That last one is just a personal grudge." She glanced at the piece of paper, her heart aching with worry. The bodyguard only left a note with an address. "If this keeps up, when will I ever get a sincere kiss?" Dungtu Street, Sekoyin. Filled with despair, Martina anxiously stroked the egg. "If I can't get it, my child will die again." Suddenly, the egg trembled, emitting brilliant rays of light. She jumped back in surprise, not forgetting to ask her secretary, Mie. "The egg is glowing. Does this mean she's about to be born?" At that moment, a system notification appeared. "The sacred beast has sensed the aura of the pillar of the empire on its parent. The sacred beast is hungry." Hearing this, Martina immediately hugged the egg and coddled it. "In my past life, I escaped from exile and endured so much hardship to be reborn, all for this very moment. I can finally see hope in this child." Her eyes welled up with tears. "She's hungry, that's wonderful." But Mie, standing beside her, retorted, "How can an egg talk? I think you're the one who wants a late-night snack." Yet she didn't argue back at all. "Just let me be. I say she's hungry. So she's hungry. He pushed up his glasses and reminded her, holding it like that is dangerous. You should put it down. Immediately after, the egg trembled once more. Startled, the two of them glanced at each other. She couldn't hide her happiness. See? I told you she was hungry. That's why it keeps moving. But he, having read countless books, was more experienced. The time when a sacred beast is about to hatch is the most critical period. We must take excellent care of it. Mie immediately gave orders. Warm the room, adjust the temperature to be suitable for incubation. Fragrance, maintain the scent Her Highness the Princess uses most often. And finally, soft and soothing music. Martina, standing beside him, giggled teasingly. Mie, you look like a mother right now. He smiled back in response. Everyone calls me the villainess's hunting dog. And shouldn't a hunting dog protect its master? She winked slightly and sighed. Startled, the two of them glanced at each other. She couldn't hide her happiness. See? I told you she was hungry. That's why it keeps moving. She didn't even live for a single day. The strongest mage couldn't save her, and she took her last breath in my arms. Everyone calls me the villainess's hunting dog. And shouldn't a hunting dog protect its master? She winked slightly and sighed. Now that I've confirmed that the mercenary Ryan is the pillar of the Empire, I must obtain a sincere kiss from him. With that said, Martina turned to leave. I'm going to look for some documents. He watched her go, bewildered, then called out, Please come back soon. The sacred beast needs your aura. Now that I've confirmed that the mercenary Ryan is the pillar of the Empire, I must obtain a sincere kiss from him. She should have at least said, I look like a father. The next day, at the Hong Sam Inn, you're looking for a tall mercenary with blue eyes? Why isn't he here? The porter reported that he's already gone to Paris Park. Did you know? That's the cemetery for the old nobles? Going to a cemetery in a blizzard like this? That guy must be crazy. It was then that she vaguely realized everything. No wonder the bodyguard rejected my invitation yesterday. Today is the anniversary of his mother's death. Ryan Sidney. His father is the emperor of the Sydney Empire, but his mother was the daughter of a noble from the Moran Empire. Martina also knew about their cross-border love story. The two nations were always at odds. While his mother was traveling abroad, she happened to meet and fall in love with the emperor of Sydney. She defied her family's opposition, eloped with him, and gave birth to a child. Ryan's mother's elopement was always scorned by the Sydney nobility. She left her homeland, only to be unaccepted by her husband's country. She eventually died of a broken heart and was buried in the cemetery in her homeland according to her last wish. When Ryan was a mercenary, he often came to the Moran Empire, visiting each time to pay respects to his mother. He wanted to retrieve a memento from his mother's youth, but his mother's family refused to see him. At this moment, he was truly standing silently before his mother's tomb, covered in snow. A shouted voice broke the silence here. Sir Ryan, it's Her Highness the Princess. Martina appeared with a box in her hands. Sir Ryan, so you really haven't left yet? She smiled cryptically. I came to give you a gift. He frowned as soon as he took the box. Your Highness, why have you come to a place like this? Martina replied with a cryptic smile. You'll know once you open it. His eyes immediately widened in shock, but Ryan couldn't believe it. Inside the box was a portrait of her, Ryan. Ryan whipped his head around to ask her, Is this my mother's memento? Martina replied with a casual smile. Don't worry, I haven't told anyone your identity. I only heard you came to the noble's cemetery. Besides, you have the characteristic blue eyes of the House of Vitas, so I did a little digging and figured out who you are. Looking at the painting, his heart ached with sorrow. How did you get this? Because of my mother's departure, they always hid everything about her. She smirked slightly. Besides, you have the characteristic blue eyes of the House of Vitas, so I did a little digging. Martina replied with a casual smile. Don't worry, I haven't told anyone your identity. I only heard you came to the noble's cemetery. You brought me my mother's memento. This is a priceless treasure to me, but I don't know how I can possibly repay you. Ryan's voice was full of sadness. In the Sydney Empire, I am the most disregarded prince. The children of my father's legitimate bloodline, and his former empress, are far more likely to inherit the throne. As for my mother's family, they have never acknowledged my existence. For over 20 years, they have never once looked me in the face. All I have is the sword in my hand and this horse. Finishing his words, Ryan knelt down. A mercenary is just a wild beast with no home to return to. He respectfully placed a hand on his chest, determined to repay this debt of gratitude. Your gift is enough to buy my life. Tell me, who must I kill for you? Martina seemed to have achieved her goal. I don't want something so tasteless. She then extended her hand towards him, making an offer. Hey, I've come to be your home. Would you let me? Princess Martina's eyes shone brightly, full of allure and madness. What they couldn't give you, I will give you, and the wounds they inflicted upon you, I will fight them with you. But for a fleeting moment, Ryan's heart was moved. I absolutely will not let you be a lonely beast any longer. Hey, I've come to be your home. Would you let me? Princess Martina's eyes shone brightly, full of allure and madness. What they couldn't give you, I will give you, and the wounds they inflicted upon you, I will fight them with you. Ryan smiled. You're really something else, you crazy princess. He gently took Martina's hand and removed her glove, and placed a chivalrous kiss upon it. Ryan Sidney swears his loyalty to you. From now on, you are my home. At that moment, the system announced, Mercenary Ryan Sidney meets the conditions. 1. Pillar of the Empire. 2. Possesses a loyal heart. Crap! Martina had given the sacred beast an emergency energy supplement, and now it has enough energy and is about to hatch. Upon receiving this notification, Martina jumped. She suddenly let out a loud, huh? And thought to herself, how can it be this fast? Seeing the panicked look on her face, Ryan misinterpreted it and asked, Are you already having regrets? Why are you so panicked? Are you refusing to accept my oath? You regret it already, don't you? His words sent a chill down Martina's spine, and she thought to herself, it looks like if I say I regret this, he'll drag me down with him. Martina put on a serious face and replied, I'm not the type to have regrets halfway through. I just suddenly remembered that I have an important matter at the Imperial Palace. She turned and immediately asked, how long will it take to return to the palace? A handmaiden immediately replied, Your Highness, our carriage, at its fastest, won't arrive until the afternoon. Martina exclaimed, that's not fast enough. Then Ryan suddenly draped his cloak over her. Martina snapped, I don't need another cloak. I don't care if I'm cold right now. As soon as she finished speaking, she felt herself being lifted into the air. Ryan carried Martina to his horse and said, it gets very windy and cold when you ride. My horse is extremely fast. I can get you there before noon. It'll just be cold and a bit shaky. Can you handle it? Martina grabbed him by the collar and yelled, I don't care if my limbs freeze solid. Let's go now. He let out a faint smile and swiftly mounted the horse, saying with satisfaction, as expected of you. Ryan yanked the reins and yelled. The horse galloped off like the wind, and in no time, Ryan had brought Martina back to the Imperial Palace of the Moran Empire. She dismounted and said, Ryan, I owe you for this. I'll contact you after I've taken care of my child. He was completely shocked and quickly grabbed the princess's hand, asking, did you say you have a child? Martina smiled cheerfully and replied, that's right, I have a child. Her words were like a splash of cold water to Ryan's face, as he thought, she has a child with someone else? A thought flashed through his mind. Who is he? I'll kill him. But then Ryan clutched his head in agony. No, I can't. She would be furious. She would hate me. I must be patient. Meanwhile, in the princess's chambers, the egg had begun to crack, and the maid stood praying with clasped hands. Mie, however, was pacing non-stop around the table with the egg, grumbling. The first being the sacred beast sees upon hatching must be Her Highness the Princess. Someone has already been sent to find her, but if it didn't hatch in time, Meyer and the maid clasped their hands and prayed to the sacred beast, begging it to be patient a little longer. A dry cracking sound rang out as the egg split a little more, and the whole group cried out, ah! Martina, who had just walked in and saw the scene, roared, it's so damn loud, and the entire group immediately fell silent. Martina gently walked closer to the egg, thinking to herself, to be honest, I'm incredibly anxious. In my past life, she was already dying when she hatched. That has always been a nightmare for me, so now I'm both excited and terrified. Will she be healthy? Will she live on in good health? She reached out to touch a piece of the broken shell. Smooth, pale pink skin, the sacred beast had two adorable little horns, and it called out, Mommy. Martina cried with joy as she picked up the sacred beast and cuddled it. My child, thank you for coming into this world safely. At that same moment, in the prince's chambers, Miafield sat on a sofa by the crackling fireplace. Before him was the hatched egg from which a beautiful sacred beast had been born. His attendant said, Your Highness, congratulations on successfully hatching the sacred beast. I received a secret report that today, Princess Martina's sacred beast was also born. The attendant flinched the moment he looked up. Miafield shot him a cold glare and asked, didn't I send you to poison it? Is this how you get things done? At that moment, in the princess's chambers, Martina was watching the sacred beast drink milk, smiling from ear to ear with pure joy. My little baby looks so cute drinking milk. Ever since it was born, the sacred beast has had the consciousness of a 2- or 3-year-old. Magical creatures are truly incredible. But if it just keeps drinking cow's milk like this, can it absorb any magic? The system suddenly displayed a message, reminding her, a sacred beast can only replenish a very small amount of magic by eating any kind of human food. The only high-efficiency source of magic is a sincere kiss from a pillar of the Empire. Martina replied, I know. I need the long-term loyalty of many people, right? The system praised her. You are absolutely correct. She felt a little optimistic. At least I've found Ryan now, but he's a mercenary, so his next mission will probably take him to another country. Then I'll just hire him as my bodyguard for a long time. The system continued with another reminder. If a pillar of the Empire lacks the necessary experience, they may lose their status as a pillar. Martina let out a baffled, huh? So if he doesn't travel around to other countries, he might not become the future dark god of war. Is that it? My decisions will affect their original development path. She rested her chin on her hand and sighed. This is such a pain. Just then, the sacred beast came up to Martina, raising its tiny paw and waving it. It said in a cute, whiny voice, Mommy, kiss, kiss. Hearing this, Martina truly felt all her worries melt away. She swept it into a hug and showered it with kisses. For you, Mommy doesn't mind how much trouble it is. Martina stroked the sacred beast in her arms. In this empire, there's a type of wildflower called a lily that can live for over 35 years, and it can even grow back after being burned by fire. Your name will be Lily, okay? The sacred beast chirped, I'm Lily. She gently stroked its tiny chin and said softly, Your mommy's Lily, a lily who will live for a very, very long time. System notification, congratulations. The bond between the holy beast and its mother has grown stronger. Martina gently touched Lily's delicate little claw. Mommy will protect you so you can live a long, long life. Mir and the maid Louis were walking into the chamber as the girl picked up the milk bottle to examine it. Your Highness's holy beast has such a great appetite. It finished this bottle so quickly. I will go prepare a new one, Mie reported to the princess. The news of your holy beast's birth has reached His Majesty's ears and has also been announced to the high nobility. System notification, congratulations. The bond between the holy beast and its mother has grown stronger. Martina smiled and replied, I know. Suddenly, Lily stared intently at Mie and asked, Mommy,